everyone, good morning. As promised, we're going to be doing our vegetable chopping demonstration. So a couple of things I want to go over before we start. One is the knife. So you want to use a knife that has a good comfortable grip for yourself as well as a good size. Some people like to use super size knives. Some people like smaller. I can show you this like tomato type slicer knife. And I love using this knife. You'll see me using it in almost every video. It's my go-to knife. No matter what I'm chopping, I use this knife because it's got a good grip. It's sharp. You want to make sure it's sharp. It's not dull because dull knives will cut you because you've got to kind of jerk them around and like really get through to the vegetable and the fruit, like get into it. And that tends to actually cut you more than using a sharp knife. So I use this for pretty much everything, no matter what I'm chopping, but it's my go-to knife, even though I have 100 knives. So find one that you feel comfortable with, find one that's sharp enough, and find one that you feel, that where you're not going to chop off your fingers. So I like this one because it's got a thick blade. So if I have my fingers here, it's not going to chop me. I feel less safe using the smaller ones, even though some people prefer the smaller ones. For me, using a smaller one I get kind of weary about those, but this is also good if you feel comfortable with it. Just find one that you feel comfortable with. Practice chopping up string cheese or whatever you wanted to practice to find the knife that you feel comfortable with. Now, second thing I want to go over is the cutting board. So I typically always have this wooden cutting board right by my kitchen sink. I love this board. I've had it for years. And the way I take care of it is I just wash it with soap and water when I'm done chopping things on it, and then I always oil it down. So that's a good way to protect any type of wooden salad bowl or wooden cutting board you have. Is you want to make sure that you oil it and preserve the wood after you wash it. Just kind of like keeps the wood moist and all that kind of stuff. So this cutting board has a lot of inserts. When I'm chopping meats or anything you can get sick from, I always chop my meats on certain colors of these plastic boards that I use. So that's another thing you want to be careful of. You don't want to chop red meats directly on wood where the bacteria is going to absorb in and sit in there and then get you sick later. So you want something that you can wash, sterilize, throw in the dishwasher, something that's going to be super clean and sterilized after you're done. All right, today I'm going to go ahead and keep this green one on here for our vegetables. And as far as our vegetables are concerned, I chose 3 vegetables that are used in almost every single dish or meal, I should say, or cuisine. One is the onion, a garlic, and then the tomato. Now, vegetables are very unique in the sense that depending on how you slice them or dice them, they give off different flavors in certain dishes. So that's why in certain recipes you'll see, it'll call for diced onions as opposed to sliced onions, or the garlic will be mashed instead of chopped, or sliced garlic. So I'm going to be showing you we're going to keep it very basic and simple today. So I'm going to show you how to slice an onion, how to dice an onion, and then how to slice and dice garlic, as well as mash garlic. And then lastly, the tomato typically can only be sliced or chopped. So we're going to be doing all 3 of these. And I'm going to start with the onion. This root is where, is where the onion grows underground. So onions come from roots underground, and it's an underground vegetable, I guess. So what I'm going to do with an onion and how you want to cut an onion, a lot of people cut it this way. I like to cut it this way. So I basically cut it, you can think of it like North Pole to South Pole. So I cut it North Pole to South Pole, but I set it sideways like this. So the first part of the onion got lots of layers of skin, right? So you want to make sure that you take the skin off first. So now what I'm going to do is cut off a little tiny bit of the root on both ends, and you can see that the skin has started peeling now. And I'm going to chop off this end, and then we're just going to peel off the skin. Okay, now underneath the skin in a lot of onions you'll find this black gunk, right? It's basically a type of fungus, to be honest. It sounds gross, but it is, and all onions have it. So I'm going to go ahead and peel off the skin here, and you want to make sure all the layers of the skin are peeled off until you get to the white part. This is a brown onion, so the skin is brown, obviously. If you have a red onion, the skin will be red, and you'll get down to like a pink area of the onion. You'll be able to tell when there's no more skin left. So you're going to peel off the skin, and you have the onion, right? And now this is the point where I just kind of toss this off to the side in a trash can or my sink, which is a dumpster typically when I cook. And then you always want to either soak this in water, like just if you're gonna be chopping multiple onions, you want to just dunk it in water as you're peeling the next one. But in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and just rinse this off with water, because this part is where, this is the part where it makes your eyes water. So if you rinse this part off, your eyes won't water as much. It's just a little trick. So I'm gonna go ahead and rinse it in my sink. And then we've chopped off the North Pole and the South Pole, the two roots. I'm gonna chop off a little bit more because there's a little bit of brown left in here. I guess it's gonna be hard to get that off, so we'll just go ahead and leave it, okay? So now with the onion, the North Pole's up here, the South Pole's up here. You wanna just slice it down the middle, okay? Just like so. So if you were to lay the onion this way, here's the North Pole, here's the South Pole, you slice it across this way, okay? Now, if the recipe calls for, say, a sliced onion, you want to go ahead and start at the very end, and you want to just slice it, right? And just make little slices. Make sure that your fingers are up top or they're curled in a little bit, and you're not going to get your fingers caught up. And as you can see, as I'm slicing away, depending on how thick you want them, right? Some dishes might call for thick slices and some dishes might call for thin slices. I typically always try to do them like a medium size, like thin to medium. And you just want to slice it all the way across. Now here, where I get to my fingers, as you can see, I kind of just turn the onion this way and put it down and then continue slicing. Okay? So here we have our sliced onion. Okay? Now, this part, I'm gonna go ahead and show you a chopped version. I hope you can see clearly on this video. I apologize if it's not so clear, but that's your sliced onion. Okay, now some people like to use these for sandwiches and salads and certain dishes, because when you break them apart like this, you'll see they're just super thin slices, okay? But I'm also gonna show you another way to create onion slices after I show you this chopped method. So now this method is the chopped method. So now in the chopped method, you want to make incisions all the way across the onion, just like you did when you sliced them, sorry. All the way down, okay? Just like this. And you want to try to keep a hold of the onion. See, I would have cut myself had I not been careful. This was just a loose piece of skin sitting on the onion, which I didn't catch when I was peeling off my skin on the onion. So there you have it. And then, now, depending on how thin or how small you want your dicing, you want to start at the very top. So you want to get a good grip of the onion and start right here and just make incisions where you're not going all the way across here, but you're just going like so, okay? So you're gonna go all the way down this way, and then you're gonna cut down this way. So what did we do? We went this way, we went this way, and then now we're going this way. And as you can see, this is nice and finely diced. And that's all there is to it. Now, my eyes are not watering because I rinsed my onion off before I got into the chopping process, which a lot of people forget to do. And then if you want them any finer, see, these came out perfect actually, but if you want them any finer, say it requires like super finely chopped onion or something, these are actually perfectly sized and all uniform. But if you want them to go even finer, then you want to take your knife and keep it pushed down here and just go across like this. Move your arm and just go across, okay? So there you have it. Here is our chopped onion, which is what's mostly used for dishes. Now, I'm gonna give you a little secret. Chopped onion, as opposed to any other types of pre-chopped vegetables in the grocery store, are relatively cheap. It's usually about 99 cents for a tub of chopped onion. So I'll be honest with you, most of the time I have a couple of containers of chopped onions in my refrigerator at all times. And I do buy the pre-chopped ones only because they're 99 cents, and sometimes they even go on sale for even cheaper. So if you don't want to go through this big process and hoopla, that's another way to do it. And you always have the chopped onions at least on hand for any dishes that you make. Now, when it comes to slicing or the onion rings, which I'm about to show you. It's hard to find those. You're gonna have to learn how to do those for sure. Okay, so here we go. Here's another onion. We're gonna go ahead and chop off the north pole and south pole of the onion. Peel it off. Okay, so we're gonna dump this part, and we're just gonna keep peeling until all the layers of the onion are peeled off. And this one is a little bit stronger. See, my eyes are already feeling it. So we're gonna rinse this off really quickly, okay? All right, so I've rinsed it off. And now, north pole to south pole, remember. So we're gonna go this way, but we're gonna flip the onion this way because we already chopped off the top root, right? So we're gonna flip it this way, top to bottom, and go like this. Now, I already made an error because I was supposed to make rings this time and not slice them or chop them. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and do it one more time so you guys get the hang of it. So now with this half, we're gonna do the slicing all the way across. Okay, so they're nice and uniform. You can break them apart if you want. Now I have onions for like 2 weeks, I guess. Okay, now this half we're gonna chop. So let's go ahead and slice. Try to keep the onion in place if you can. Right? And then we're gonna go this way, remember? So we're gonna start at the very top where this like top round is, and just make an incision. Be very careful when you chop onions like this, okay, with your fingers. And if you don't feel comfortable, like I said, it's 99 cents to buy a container of chopped onions at the grocery store. It's almost not even worth all this. Okay, so then you want to chop all the way down. So because you've already made the other 2 incisions, now this 3rd incision is gonna allow for a completely chopped onion. And then this part at the very end, you can just lay down as you feel comfortable. So here you have it, a perfectly chopped onion. Now I'm gonna go grab another onion to show you how to make the onion rings.